You're staring at a conflict. Maybe it's a board member challenging your strategy. Maybe it's a peer undermining your initiative. Maybe it's a cultural shift you fundamentally oppose, and you're asking the question every leader asks: do I fight this or do I let it go? The answer isn't in your gut. It's in a framework. I'm the 3C coach, and today we're using the Behavioral Theology model to answer the oldest leadership question in history. When do you fight and when do you collaborate? Let's break it down through character, competence, and courage. Let's start with character. Here's the brutal truth most leaders won't admit. We confuse our ego with our principles. Organizational psychology research shows that leaders constantly mistake personal preference for moral imperative. You tell yourself this is about what's right, when really it's about being right. There's a massive difference between I disagree and this is wrong. One is a preference, the other is a principle. High-performing leaders practice what I call selective engagement. They understand that every confrontation carries relational debt. They only fight when core values or organizational survival are genuinely at stake, not when their pride gets wounded. Here's your biblical principle. If it be possible, as much as lies within you, live peaceably with all men. Romans 12:18. Notice the qualifier, as much as lieth in you. The accountability is in your self-regulation, not the other person's behavior. Collaboration starts with internal governance, not external compliance. Ask yourself, is this conflict about protecting the mission or about protecting my position? Now let's transition to the second C, which is competence. This is where we get tactical. If you can't measure it, you shouldn't fight it. I use a master black belt framework for this. Every potential conflict must pass a simple cost-benefit test. What is the measurable cost of engagement versus avoidance? Can you quantify it? Reputational damage, strategic misalignment, compliance risk, mission drift. If you can't put numbers or outcomes to it, you're probably fighting an ego battle. Here's the structure you need. Create a formal decision architecture that distinguishes between two categories. Negotiable preferences such as process, style, timing, methods. The other category is non-negotiable principles such as ethics, mission alignment, fiduciary duty, legal compliance. Most organizations conflict from treating non-negotiable with negotiable principles. And here's the data. It shows that 70% of workplace conflict stems from role ambiguity and resource scarcity, not genuine value disagreements. Translation: most fights aren't even real. Fix the structure and the false dichotomy between fighting and collaborating disappears. Now let's talk about real courage, our third C, what it looks like. Scripture doesn't call us to be doormats, it calls us to be discerning. Righteous confrontation is biblical. Jesus overturned tables in the temple. Nathan confronted King David, and Paul publicly opposed Peter. When truth or justice is genuinely compromised, silence isn't peacekeeping, it's moral cowardice. But here's the test. The burden of proof rests on the person initiating the conflict. You must demonstrate collaboration has been exhausted, the issue transcends personal interest, and that the fight serves a purpose beyond your tenure. This is what I call the eternal calculus. The question is never, can I win this fight? The question is, does this battle serve a purpose beyond my ego and my tenure? Leaders anchored in theology measure decisions against legacy and kingdom impact, not quarterly optics or personal vindication. So here's your leadership question. What formal mechanism exists in governance structure to distinguish between conflicts that protect organizational integrity and those that merely protect leader preference? If you don't have one, you're flying blind, and you'll burn relational capital on battles that don't matter. The 3C framework of character, meaning separate the ego from principle, competence, measure the cost, build the structure, and then finally courage, fight only when truth demands it. This is behavioral theology in action, where psychology meets scripture and leadership gets real. I'm the 3C coach. If this framework helped you, subscribe and share it with a leader who needs to hear it today. Thank you.